All right, welcome back to Opinions in Dispute, the Opinions in Dispute channel. I'm your host, Donald Kim, and today I'm joined by my good friend Josh to talk about Premier League transfers. Obviously, you might know Josh from the Apologetics for All channel and his Chelsea channel that he also runs, which are very, very popular. Josh, as I might have said, is an avid Chelsea fan, and as an avid Manchester United fan myself, I am ready to get into this conversation about the biggest moves that may happen or may not happen this summer, depending on what we think. All right, Josh, I'll start off with you. They have heard my opinion on my 3 in, 3 out. I'm just going to ask you for 3 ins, your top 3 transfers. You have a reasonable budget. I mean, you roughly know where the Chelsea budget is every year. What do you think are 3 reasonable signings that Chelsea can make?
I think that we should bring in a very good midfielder. And I know I've said just now in our live stream that we might not need a midfielder with 4 very good midfielders already with Kovacic, Jorginho, and Kante. But I do think that if we can get a world-class midfielder in Verratti, or bring in a younger player who could also be willing to sit on the bench, like Aurelien Tchouameni from AC Monaco, I think we actually have quite a good shout at bringing one of these younger player in, or a veteran professional like Verratti, because although I do think that we have a very good midfield, I think we need a big game player, a very experienced player like a Verratti, to really come in and settle the midfield. Because yes, Jorginho has been doing very well under Tuchel, but he has been error prone. He has made a few mistakes throughout his career, and especially in the recent weeks against Arsenal, he has made some somewhat dubious decisions that when Kovacic goes injured and we have to rely on only Jorginho and Kante, we do need an extra midfielder to back it up. Billy Gilmore's great, but I think he's more of a squad player to develop him than an actual starter. So a Verratti or even a Tchouameni might be a very good signing for us in the midfield and should not cost us too much. Now, of course, I think we do need a striker. We bought Timo Werner last year. We have Kai Havertz, but let's face it, they haven't been exactly what we bought them to be. Timo Werner, although we bought him as the striker for Leipzig to be leading the line up front, he's just not really doing that very well. He runs the channels really well. He gets in behind, but at the same time, he's not scoring the goals. His finishing is a bit off, and maybe he'll get better next season, but I don't think we can trust or fully rely or base our system based on a striker who may or may not score those goals. He's creating the chances, which would be good enough for a very top quality striker to come in and to really put those goals away. And that's why I think that we need a strong striker up top. A Lukaku would be quite good. I think he'll probably be cheaper than Harry Kane or Erling Haaland, or go for Robert Lewandowski. I don't think that will happen. I think it's really rare that will happen, but I think a Lewandowski might be cheaper than a Harry Kane and Erling Haaland. So I would say I say go for Lukaku first. If it can't be Lukaku, then go for Lewandowski and then Erling Haaland and Harry Kane, because I think that would just blow the budget and we only have to be able to do one signing if we go for Haaland or Kane. Now, I think the defense is interesting. We do need a good defender, but I would say it's between Varane or Sule. And I'm not really sure which one would be a better choice. I think Sule is perhaps a bit more physical than Varane and has perhaps a bit more years left in him and is perhaps might be a bit better fit for the Tuchel system, especially if we turn back to a 4-2-4-3-3 formation. I think he might help as that double center back to really give some physicality next to a Christensen who is going to be a bit weaker, or perhaps Zuma who's going to be strong but might be a bit more error prone as well. So I think that Sule would be very good as the 3 ins, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. And I heard you also talk about Sule on your channel for the video that we just did. In my opinion, I think Sule has stay away written all over him. I think because Bayern, if you think about it, they're losing Alaba, one of their stalwart centre backs. They might lose Boateng. Hernandez, that they paid 70 million for, is not really a centre back. He's more of a right back. But they're also letting go of Zula. So what do you think that says? I mean, they're already losing Alaba. He's basically finalizing his contract with Madrid. Boateng's most likely gonna go if he gets, a bigger offer, which he probably will. Hernandez is not really played as a centre back, even though he's listed at one. He likes playing left back. But then to also get rid of Zula, that's four centre backs out the door for Bayern, and they're only bringing in Deo Upamecano. So what do you think about Zula? Does that not show a couple red flags?
I definitely do think there's red flags, but at the same time, I think you could look at his player profile, and I think that if you discount perhaps how he might not have gotten, I wouldn't necessarily say he didn't get along too well with the Bayern team and the structure, but I don't think there's too much things like physically, if you just look at his performances, his match performances, that has too many red flags there. And I definitely agree with you that he might be quite a risky signing. And of course, it comes down to the price as well. But I think if we get him for amount maybe like 30 million, I wouldn't necessarily say that that risk is too big to play or it's too expensive for us to just take that risk, take that gamble. If it doesn't go well, we still have Thiago Silva for one more year. We still have Rudiger. We still have Christensen. Zuma might leave. But I think we have enough backup to say, just in case Sula doesn't go well, we still have a defense, which has gotten us all the way to the Champions League final. So we still have that core, and the players we bring in are more to improve, or if they don't work, then it's all right. But if it does work, I think Sula could become like Harry Maguire for United. They have quite a similar build. They have quite a similar player profile, I think. They're quite tanky. They look somewhat like a fridge. They don't look like the most mobile things alive on that pitch. You could probably fly. I could probably run faster than them in the 100-meter sprint, but I think
I'm not doubting that. I'm not.
Yeah, but I think that if it goes well, magic can happen in the back, and that's something which I think is a good thing, attractive for Sula, or going for Sula.
I mean, just on that point, I know I'm a United fan. Harry Maguire is leaps and bounds ahead of, I think, any centre back at Chelsea at the moment. Because Harry Maguire, he's aerially the best centre back in Europe, and although he does get turned more than a spinning top, he has really showed his importance. Obviously, the 80 million price tag is not his fault. I think if we paid closer to 40, 50 million, United fans would be saying what a great signing he was. I think it's just the price tag that sort of gets him, the label of fridge, and he can't run in that. But I think it's really interesting on Sula. I mean, I wish United had the problem. I mean, if someone doesn't work at United, it's absolute. I mean, our season's done. Because we need signings. Whereas Chelsea, I mean, if Zula doesn't work, great. They have like 4 more centre backs that they can use. If Maguire gets injured, I mean, we're playing Eric Bailly and Lindelof, who just are not good enough. But I mean, I was going to talk about this a bit later, but I think I can bring this up. Chelsea look a lot like Manchester United in 2013. They are a striker away from that Premier League trophy, in my opinion, because Tuchel can set up a defense. He's shown that he can set up his backline and his defense. The West Brom performance, I think, is just a bit more of an aberration. What do you think about blowing the entire transfer budget on Kane or Haaland?
I wouldn't be too much against that. If we're not planning to sign anyone else over the summer, go for Haaland. I would say that's a decent transfer market. Or even if we only got one player in, that's a decent transfer market, especially since we're selling so many players. We're clearing a lot of weight. Giroud's not going to be here next year. Tammy Abraham most likely not going to be here next year. We might sell off Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Ross Barkley, and Bakayoko. We might even get rid of we got rid of Moses for 9 million. I'm not sure how they managed to negotiate Victor Moses for 9 million to Spartak Moscow. That's half of a miracle.
I wish United could do transfers
yeah.
like that, mate.
Yeah, we have Maria Granovskaya in our hierarchy who just negotiates like an absolute beast. And I wouldn't be too. I don't think it would be too bad to go get Haaland, go get Kane. And that's a very interesting thing. Would you go for Kane or would you go for Haaland? And I'm undecided, to be honest, because there's always that chance of Haaland coming over and just not performing.
I actually haven't done a video on this, but I think I'll spoil it a bit here. Kane is going to give you more years than Haaland is going to give you. And people might be so confused at that, what do you mean? Haaland is what, 20, 21? Kane is basically 28 in a month. What do you mean, Haaland's going to give you less years? Well, that's because of his agent, who I would not mention here, his questionable agent, who said that Haaland will not stay more than 3 years at any club. He is in the Zlatan Ibrahimovic mold, where he moves around, gets the big deal, gets the people of the certain league, the certain country all hyped up. We got Haaland, we got Ibrahimovic, sells a lot of shirts, 2 to 3 years, move him on, repeat, rinse and repeat. Kane, he has shown that he will be loyal to a club. I mean, think about how bad Spurs have been at times. And this is the first time that Kane has officially handed in his transfer request. Kane is going to give you loyalty. And I think Kane's passing game is really underrated. I mean, he's leading the league in assists this season. He's leading the league in goals and assists. I mean, you're going to get 3-4 prime years out of him. And even at, 32, 33, Kane will still be able to perform. And I think a striker would be a top. Imagine all those chances that Chelsea create. Imagine Harry Kane or Haaland being on the end of them instead of, Timo Werner clearing it off opponent's line.
You're giving me PTSD flashbacks when you're saying, imagine all those chances that you've missed. I'm just thinking about all the different things that Timo Werner's been clearing the thing off the line. I mean, his ability to do goal line clearances is at least on par, if not even better than Kyle Walker. The guy flies at the goal and manages to clear the ball off the line. I love Timo Werner. I say this every single time. I absolutely adore the man. I think he bleeds blue. He gives everything he has for the club, but it's about time that we have a really good striker up front. And I would say Kane, if Kane goes for 100 million, I'll take it. I would think we'll take that above Erling Haaland if Erling Haaland's at 130 million or even 150 million. I don't think they're going to negotiate Erling Haaland to any price lower than 120 million. I don't think that's even possible.
Yeah.
So I think Kane at 100 million is most likely going to be the best chance for Chelsea. If not, I think any other club in the league. 100 million for Kane is perhaps the best striker that anyone can get right now. Tried and tested and proven in the Premier League and absolutely phenomenal.
The reason why I say Haaland is actually a good option for Chelsea is because I think Chelsea's negotiating team can deal with Kane's agent. I mean Haaland's agent. Sorry.
Yeah.
And Haaland, he is just that natural finisher. I'm not sure if Kane is going to be trending up, but I know that Haaland will be trending up. And I just think Kane, you're not going to be able to get that sell-on fee. I think Haaland, if you get him for 150, maybe even 200 million, you're going to be able to sell him on for, well, maybe 40 to 50 million less. But I mean, it's Chelsea. Come on. They're not Manchester United, right? They are able to spend the money. So I think Haaland is actually a pretty viable option for Chelsea, but I'm not sure if they'll go for it this summer due to the very high price tag. Yeah, I think Kane just seems like, I remember when we got Van Persie, it seemed like he was the missing piece, and he had a great season, and we won the league. I think Kane could be that for Chelsea, mate. I just think so.
But thinking about Kane, it's you can't separate Kane from what Mourinho has done. And that's a very funny thing. You know that the meme video that Mourinho just says, "With me, I'll help you explode," with Kane in the All or Nothing documentary.
Yeah.
The thing is that Mourinho did make Kane explode. Mourinho and Kane is almost like a Mourinho and Ronaldo partnership. Kane's just gone from height to height. It's not like he was a bad striker before. He was a phenomenal striker before. But under Mourinho, with Son on his side, Kane's just become absolutely phenomenal. He's been playing at the position of a false nine, at 10s even sometimes, and just builds up the play from the halfway line all the way to the goal. And you're like, is this guy a striker? He's absolutely phenomenal. And that's something that I think Chelsea could use so much, because I mean, sometimes Tuchel's playing Havertz in that false nine position. But imagine if we had Kane instead of Havertz playing that kind of build-up and striker in the box. He can do both, and I think we'll score absolutely phenomenal goals. And he has that physicality to get into the near post, to get into the back post, to win some headers, something that Timo Werner can't really do. And I think I think Kane, perhaps even better than Haaland, might be that solution for Chelsea. Although, of course, I think Haaland's player profile is more of the classic number 9, up there to score goals. And he'll get that. He'll make that done. But I'm not sure whether he would play as well with the Tuchel system of that striker with the build-up play as well as Kane, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. And I fully get you there. Now, just moving on a bit from the Haaland and Kane scenario. Sancho seems to be on the move. Grealish seems to be on the move. I'm pretty sure United will get Sancho, because the Glazers do want the fans back on their side, and they will splash the cash this summer for Jadon Sancho. And United do have a, track record of missing out on a player in one window and getting them in the next, aka Victor Lindelof, aka Bruno Fernandes, and some other players there. Would you take any of them at Chelsea? Sancho, Grealish? I mean, they'll probably be on the move. Would you take them if they were available? Obviously, knowing that if you probably took them, you definitely have to give up your hopes on maybe a Haaland or a Kane.
I'll say no, because I mean, I think I mentioned this before, but we could just look at what Chelsea have on the bench. It's Chelsea, like City, is one of the squads where you say Chelsea's problem is not having too little squad depth, but perhaps having a bit too much squad depth. I mean, which club in the world could possibly have a Tammy Abraham just sitting at home for 90% of the matches?
Yeah.
Tammy Abraham has been our top scorer in Chelsea, but he's just been sitting at home and it's not been even called up to the FA Cup finals.
Yeah.
We have so many players in that attacking position that I don't think a Jadon Sancho or a Grealish would help. We already have Mount in that cam number 10 left wing kind of position. We have Pulisic, who definitely plays left wing. Hudson-Odoi, who plays more on the right wing. We have Ziyech. We just have so many players there that I don't think Sancho or Grealish would do anything to help our squad, apart from just making more people sit at home. And that's just something that I don't think we want. And of course, we're getting rid of a lot of players, but even if we get rid of a lot of players, we still have so much talent on the bench that I don't think we need a Sancho or a Grealish. Though I do think that someone like United, or even Leicester, could go in for one of those players and would do really well with them.
Yeah, I just think Sancho is essential for United to sort of freshen up what's becoming more and more of a stale attack. Because, Rashford, Luke Shaw, overlapping runs, cross into the box, Cavani, maybe go out to Bruno. It's becoming a bit stale. And I think Sancho, off that right-hand side, that's been just dead the entire season. And I know Mason Greenwood has come into his own, but Mason Greenwood is a number 9. And I think he said he wants to play as a number 9 and is developing really well behind Cavani. I just think Sancho, main priority this season, although we will talk about the CDMs a bit later. Now, just on Jack Grealish, I was looking at his injury history lately because I was speaking to some Villa fans. And they said, well, Grealish is consistently out every season with some major shin splint injuries, which are very hard to overcome because they are a source of, fatigue. And that sort of raised some red flags for me. I mean, a 25, 26-year-old getting major shin splints each year, just didn't seem like the perfect player for me. And he also plays on the left wing. I know Chelsea are stacked in those sort of attacking winger areas. United, we go 3 deep on the left wing as well. We just go 0 deep on the right wing. That's the problem. So I don't think Grealish would be a big option for either Chelsea or United. Although I do think a team like City or Liverpool might be in for Grealish if they lose Salah or Mane, or maybe City just want to secure themselves another title. I mean, with Grealish, that could be a possibility. Now, just transitioning on to something else, which I thought involved United and Chelsea in terms of transfers. And this was very interesting. If you look at the Champions League winners and the Premier League winners, these are the starting goalkeepers for each team. So in 2020, Bayern Munich won it. Neuer was the keeper. 19, obviously, Liverpool, it was Alisson, great keeper. Neuer, also great keeper. 3-peat for Real Madrid, they had, Thibaut Courtois. I know you have some fond feelings about Thibaut Courtois. And Navas, they are both really top keepers. Barcelona to Stegen, Real Madrid again, Bayern Munich with Neuer. I mean, Chelsea with Petr Cech. Barcelona, with, I forget his name, but I think it was Bravo. And I keep forgetting his name.
Victor Valdez.
Yeah, Victor Valdez.
Yeah.
There we go. The goalkeeping expert stepping in to help me there. And, all these teams, they have these top keepers. You look at Edison, Alisson, Courtois when you had him, David De Gea, Van der Sar, Schmeichel. Do you really think Edouard Mendy is the person who can take you there?
I think Edouard Mendy is a consistent goalkeeper who isn't a guy who makes world-class saves. And is not like a De Gea who could do crazy acrobatic stuff. But there's a theory that I have about goalkeeping is that the best goalkeepers are not necessarily the goalkeepers which are making the crazy acrobatic saves, but the ones who you could just rely on day in, day out. And it's been working for Chelsea really well. We have Mendy, he's not making crazy saves, but at least he's not committing any howlers, or at least not that many howlers. He's a confident guy in the back, gives the confidence to the team, and has that mentality. Do you think we need a bigger name keeper? It's hard to say. I think we can trust in Mendy. I don't think it's a position that we need a huge red flag over. It's definitely not like a Kepa situation where we really needed to have another guy stepping in to really settle the ship in the back. So I think Mendy is good enough. And I think we can trust in Mendy. As long as we have a good 3 players in front of him, I don't see why we need to spend much for an extra goalkeeper in our back.
Now, the reason I just asked that question is because Manchester United have a surplus of goalkeepers. And it is very well known that Dean Henderson or David De Gea are on the move, and you could get them for less than 50 million. Do you think Chelsea would be in for either one of those? Dean Henderson or David De Gea?
Now there has been talk, and there's actually been links between Chelsea and Dean Henderson of late. And now I was looking at that, and I think that if Kepa leaves, because Kepa might leave to Lazio over the summer, we do need a second goalkeeper. Do I like Willy Caballero? Yes, but I don't think he's good enough as a second backup goalkeeper to whoever our number 1 is. Do I think that Petr Cech coming out of retirement, sitting on the 4th goalkeeping spot, do I think that's good? Good for the stories, good for the bants, but not good enough as well.
Yeah,
we need a second goalkeeper. I would settle if we could get Dean Henderson for around 10 or 12 million. has to be beneath 20 million, I have to say. If we get Dean Henderson...
No, Dino's going for at least 50.
Yeah, I would say for 50 million, no chance. I'm not going for Dean Henderson for 50 million. He's not worth it. For 50 million, you can get a world-class keeper. I mean, of course, times have changed these days. You don't have that time where the biggest goalkeeper transfer in history was Buffon for like ages at 50 million. But I think that you can get a way better goalkeeper than Dean Henderson or even De Gea at 50 million. And something, now that I've said Buffon, I would not mind Buffon coming as a second keeper for Chelsea, to be honest. He's leaving Juventus. I would not mind Buffon coming to Chelsea. Everyone who knows me knows how much I love Buffon. I adore the guy. I love that guy so much. If he comes to Chelsea as a second keeper, I'll keep it. The guy's at 43 years old, and he could still start in a Coppa Italia final, make decent saves, and lift the trophy. I think he's a good short-term replacement, and we can see how Kepa goes, because maybe he goes out on loan, regains confidence, and then comes back as a world-class keeper. He has that world-class talent inside him. He's just lost all the confidence which goes with it. I think if we bring him to Lazio, we bring in Buffon or some old keeper who's solid and good at the back as our second. See how Kepa does for a year. Give him that chance. He might come back and outclass Mendy, take back that number one spot. That would be a beautiful Cinderella story, and that would be great. I'll absolutely love to see that.
I mean, I just think any Premier League winning side has to have a top three keeper. I'm just not sure Mendy is that. I mean, if you just look through the Champions League, the Premier League, Kasper Schmeichel this season, Leicester won it. I mean, Courtois, as I've said, Van der Sar, Schmeichel, David Seaman, Jens Lehmann. I mean, all these are players that are legends of the club. 1-2 goalkeepers that would get into possibly any side in the world right now. I'm not sure Mendy is that, and I get your point saying he is, a really solid keeper, but I mean, solid will probably get you contending, but there will be points when you have to make the world-class save. I mean, if we didn't have, and I think people find this unbelievable, if we did not have David De Gea against Roma when we were up by 6-2 on aggregate, if we did not have David,
you guys would have been out.
We would have lost that game 4-5-0, and we would have been way out. David De Gea, world-class saves, and I just think you just need that keeper who will bring out a performance like that to maybe get you over the line when the team is not performing. So I was just thinking Dean Henderson could be a possible option for Chelsea, or maybe David De Gea, because it is, I mean, it's not even speculation at this point. It's common knowledge that one of those keepers will be leaving Old Trafford. And now, sticking on to the subject similar to keepers, what about centre-backs? There are a couple rumored centre-backs on the move. I know you've expressed interest in Zula and Varane, but don't you think they have a bit of concern, Varane being a bit older and being so reliant on his physicality, his pace? Same with Zula, he might not adjust to the pace of the Premier League very well.
Well, that's the problem, and I think it might be the same problem with the goalkeeping situation is, well, how many defenders, and the same goes for goalkeepers, are actually out there on the transfer market right now? And I'm talking about world-class defenders and world-class goalkeepers. You could go through all of them, and most of them are all tied down to their clubs. Like, especially for goalkeepers, and also, like, if you don't have De Gea on that market, you take him off the market, how many world-class keepers in the world right now are willing to leave? You don't have many. And cut De Gea off that list. I can't think, maybe Donnarumma, he might be something that you could look towards. But apart from those two, I can't think of anyone else. Same goes for defenders. As of now, I think the only way you could go for defenders is go for Sula or Varane, who are somewhat tested in big leagues, or just turn to really young players like Tomori. And it's a pity Tomori might be leaving for 28 million by AC Milan. That's an absolute steal. I mean,
Yeah,
out of
that
all
is.
the deals that Chelsea have done, I have to say that's one of the worst things they've done. How could you offer Tomori on a loan with the option to buy for 28 million or 30 million for a potentially world-class defender like Tomori? That's just completely beyond me. But I mean, apart from Tomori, or Sula or Varane, I don't see any other big names out there, and I could be completely missing someone, but I really can't think of any right now, if you got what I mean.
Maybe Pau Torres, but I know he's heavily linked to Madrid. And I know his comparison is Victor Lindelof, but I think, Lindelof sometimes gets overlooked. I think Pau Torres is a bit more physical, which is what Lindelof is lacking. They're very good at the long ball up the field. And Jules Koundé as well. I know he gets overlooked a lot because he's, 5'10", 5'11", but he can jump. He's very quick. He's 22 as well. I know Konate, and I know Konate will probably go to Liverpool, and I would, to be honest, I'm going to keep this short. I'd say stay away from Konate at all costs. His injury history is absolutely terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. So I think stay away from Konate. But I think Koundé, maybe Pau Torres would fit that Chelsea system a bit more, where you have three at the back. You need a bit more solidity. And maybe Koulibaly. I mean, I'm not sure how much Varane has left in the tank. To be honest, with Koulibaly, I'm not sure how much he has left in the tank as well. I'm talking a long way down the line, especially for the price tag that they are demanding. And just one final question. Declan Rice has openly said that his family has been Chelsea season ticket holders since he was a kid. He wants to go to Chelsea. He wants to go to Chelsea. He's best friends with Mason Mount. West Ham have also adamantly said they are not letting go of Declan Rice under £100 million. Not euros, pounds. So it's around 110 million euros really for a CDM. Boyhood club, no way. Is it not happening?
For £100 million, no way. I think the smartest thing to do, wait another year. That price is going to drop so much. No one's going to demand 100 million for a CDM. West Ham know that's absolutely bonkers. It's never going to go through. You can't demand 100 million. It's like me trying to sell my cast after I take it off for $500 US to you, mate. It's never going to happen unless Rice actively sends in a transfer request. I don't see it happening this year. Wait till next year. Wait till it's a free transfer and go for him. I think our defense can hold for another season. I think it's good enough to win a league. I think we go for that striker. We don't touch anything else. If we get reinforcements, that's good. But I think everything we have right now is good enough for now. We build that striker, build a team around that slowly every year, get maybe one or two more players here and there, fill in the gaps, fill in the plugs in the squad. And that's basically it for Chelsea. I think we're in a very, very good position. Perfect mix of experience and talent. I think we're in a very, very good place for the years ahead.
I hope I could say the same about United, mate. We're not even close to that, to be honest. And just one last thing. I know Chelsea were in for Oblak, I think last year or 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to just say straight up, let's give you Havertz and maybe a couple $10 million. We bring in Oblak. Obviously, you send over Havertz and Mendy, and maybe 10, 20 million, and we get Oblak. Would you do it?
I would actually suggest we send over Kepa, because Kepa's actually been tried and tested in the Spanish league. It's like sending in the Trojan horse. And I think Atletico Madrid might possibly fall for it. Sending Kepa Risa Malaga. I can't imagine I'm saying this.
Well, that's like Man United sort of sort of sending Real Madrid Fred and saying, well, give us Casemiro. They're both Brazilian CDMs, aren't they?
No, but I think we can send. Actually, I would say send in Emerson along with Havertz or someone else. They need a left back. We're trying to get rid of Emerson. Give them Bakayoko, give them Loftus-Cheek and a few other players, and just give them another 50 mil over that. Take Oblak. I wouldn't complain. I think Oblak is a world-class keeper, but I think he's in with the similar situation as any other world-class keeper. He's not begging to leave. Because keepers just like consistency. And of course, if Chelsea comes knocking on my door tomorrow after my cast gets removed, I think Josh Yed could be a viable option for the Chelsea team. But
yes,
but that's I think that we're all right with the goalkeeping and the defense department. Oblak would be great, but I don't see how we can get around that without either giving away a world-class talent. I don't think we'll give away Havertz. I don't want to give away Havertz as well. Or without paying a load of money, which will stop us from getting world-class strikers. So I think settle the defense, keep it as it is, maybe get 1 or 2 reinforcements, and then just go all in for our striker. And that's what we need.
Right. So what I'm hearing is Kane or nothing, or Haaland or nothing for Chelsea.
Yes, and hopefully we don't end up like the Tottenham Hotspurs all or nothing documentary and end up with nothing instead of anything.
Yeah. But that was a very unfortunate choice of titles there, and on Tottenham's behalf.
Yes. But of course, Tottenham being Tottenham, they're born to bottle whatever they try to do. So we shouldn't worry too much about that.
Yeah. I mean, I know I spoke on Manchester United. Centre-back, CDM, right winger are major holes that we need to fill. And I think, and then Didi or Zakaria maybe, because Declan Rice is 100 mil. We're nowhere even close to that, especially if we spend the 80 million on Sancho. And a centre-back, I think Jules Koundé is the one. I just think Jules Koundé is getting overlooked because of his height. He has a very good vertical jump on him. I think Jules Koundé could definitely do a job. He's strong, fast, good in the air, good on the ball, especially. I just think those are the priorities for Manchester United. All right. Thanks for coming on the show today, Josh.
No worries. Anytime.
Yeah. Maybe next time you'll have better takes than Oblak for Kepa.
We'll see how that goes.
That one caught me fully off guard. You know?
Yes.
That one caught me fully off guard.
I have a few tricks up my cast.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for coming on, mate.
No worries. Anytime.